The best way to guarantee that you win in real estate is to always win on the purchase price. There's a clip of Grant Cardone recently trending about him talking about the importance of winning on the purchase price, meaning if you buy at the right price and at a deep enough discount, it's very difficult for you to fail in real estate. Now, how do you win on the purchase price? It's having consistent access to deeply discounted deals. This concept's really easy to understand. Obviously, if I only buy properties at a steep discount, I will never lose because at any point while I own it, I can sell it for a profit. So it's simple to understand, but there's a lot of work that goes into ensuring you always win on the purchase price. I have done over 270 wholesale transactions. Wholesaling is all about getting properties at a discounted price so that you can flip it to an investor and make a fee. I've purchased over 70 units with my partner, and we've gotten really, really good at being able to consistently find discounted deals. The most common question I get asked is, how are you finding these houses at these prices? So today I'm going to break down exactly our system and my recommendation to you depending on your situation and your real estate goals. First of all, who are you? This is going to help you figure out what strategy is best for you to find discounted off-market deals. I haven't seen that many people talk about this, but I notice a lot of full-time real estate investors give advice that apply to other full-time real estate investors, but realistically, not all strategies to source off-market discounted deals work for people who work, say, a full-time job. So I'm going to give advice specific to the different position that you may be in. Here are all the different marketing channels that we use to find off-market deals, and here are the different categories that you will probably fall into. Most common will be our part-time investors. These are people who work a full-time job or run a full-time business, and real estate, their portfolio, is not their full-time job. Second, full-time investors. Name is pretty obvious. These are investors who their full-time job is investing in real estate. Their portfolio provides for them, or they're flipping deals, but their career, their 9 to 5, is full-time real estate. Third, we got wholesalers. Wholesalers, your job is to find discounted off-market deal for these two up here. Now, over here, we got the different channels. These are the core channels we use to find off-market deals, discounted off-market deals. Now, we also, bonus, use other wholesalers and realtors to find discounted deals. Now, they're not as consistent and they're not always as good as the deals we find ourselves, but they're free. So referrals from wholesalers or realtors, they're free and they're worth it. So PPL, that stands for pay per lead. We like to use a handful of pay-per-lead companies. If you go to Tiffany and Josh's website, we've just used all of their affiliate partners. Tiffany and Josh with Results Driven, their website, they have really good PPL providers they recommend. We use Need to Sell My House Fast and Fast Home Offer. Typically, you're gonna be paying anywhere between $100 to $400 a lead. And PPL is really great for our part-time investors because, first of all, you get a refund if a lead is a dud. They are inbound, so you're not going to be getting flooded with a ton of unqualified leads. They come pre-qualified pretty much. If you get a lead and they're not actually motivated in selling, you get a refund, and it's really manageable. And you're only paying when you get a lead, so you don't need to worry about spending a lot of money on marketing without knowing what you're doing and not actually getting any leads. With PPL, you only pay for the leads you get. And for us, they convert about 1 in 10, which is fantastic. And especially if you're only getting a call every few days, it's really manageable for someone working a full-time job to get PPL leads under contract. And some of our best deals have been from PPL. So highly recommend PPL for our part-time investors, and for our full-time and our wholesalers. Can't go wrong with PPL, but the person it will be best for will be for part-time investors. So I'm gonna write, I recommend PPL most of all for our part-time investors. And also for our part-time investors, huge wholesalers, because it's one step above PPL, because you only pay the wholesaler when you get a deal from them. They make their money on the assignment fee. So you can underwrite an unlimited amount of deals coming to you from wholesalers for free. You only pay for it when you actually buy the deal. So PPL and wholesalers are going to be your best option for my part-time investors out here. You can have an unlimited number of wholesalers sending you deals. You don't have to pay for a wholesaler to send you a deal. Join your local Facebook investment group, network with as many wholesalers as possible, get on Reddit, go to meetups, and honestly, you should have 10 to 20 wholesalers that consistently send you deals. With wholesalers, there's gonna be a lot of duds. There's gonna be a lot of wholesalers that just saw TikTok and they wanna try wholesaling, and they'll send you a few really crappy deals, but it doesn't cost you anything. So also, do not treat your wholesalers poorly, no matter how bad they are. For us, we were really bad wholesalers in the beginning, and the investors who were disrespectful to us, once we got good at it, they didn't get our deals. The investors who were kind to us and talked us through their numbers, even when we were sending them bad deals, were the investors that got the deals later. So, part-time investors, get unlimited wholesalers. It's free to do. Be nice to them, tell them your buying criteria, and it'll cost you $0. Yes, you will pay for their marketing when you buy a deal in the assignment fee, but they're the ones having to spend all the time and money finding you deals. So cannot emphasize enough for my part-time investors, get you some wholesalers. That's where I'd leave it for my part-time investors. If you are feeling more ambitious and feel like you can handle doing a bit more of your own marketing, you can trickle into a little bit of direct mail. I recommend using a company that handles the inbound. So REI Print, they're who we use. I know Yellow Letter's good, but that's as far as I would go if you're only a part-time investor. Now, before I go on to the rest of my recommendations on these marketing channels, you do need to be able to actually speak to sellers. It's pretty simple. What you're gonna do when you're speaking to a seller is understand their motivation and their pain behind why they're trying to sell the property. That's the first thing you need to do before you even think about putting out a price. Let the seller talk about their pain and motivation behind why they want to sell the property. Be human first. Don't try to give them a price or talk about investing first. First, just one human-to-human connection, understand their pain, understand their reason, and just listen and be interested in what they have to say on that. And then after that, there should be some level of a relationship established. Keeping it simple, you want to get them to say the price first. So, relationship, understand the pain, really try to push them to get them to say the price first. And then from there, you should already have a price in mind before the phone call for what makes sense for you. It should roughly be 75% of the market value minus your repairs. The lower, the better. Whatever you think is a fair offer, round down another 20 to 30%, because I guarantee you, you're gonna say a higher price. When you say the price, it should feel a little uncomfortable. You should feel a little bad for saying it, but they're gonna fight you back on it, and that's how you can get, and that's what you have to be able to do to get a discounted off-market deal. You have to say a price that's a little uncomfortable saying, and the consequences of lowballing, like again, you can be respectful about it and explain to them where you're coming from. Be honest. If you don't know how to run your numbers on what makes a good offer, comment below. I'll do another video on it. But in our free school community, my YouTube, I break down how to calculate what price to offer. But back to it, relationship, get them to say the price. If their price is already discounted, great. Confirm an appointment, walk the deal in person, get it under contract. If you need a contract, free school community. I put all my contracts in there. And then if they don't say the price, your offer, 75% formula, that works, but then round down even lower. The price you should say should feel a little uncomfortable saying it, be respectful when saying it. And if you can land somewhere decent, but not quite low enough, lock it up, go out to the property, and then renegotiate later. But this video is not about negotiations. I'll break that down later. All right. So back to it. I had to clarify that. I know that's not the point of the video, but I had to just give you at least some advice on that. My full-time investors. Now, one of the biggest full-time investors I work with, actually, he doesn't do any of these. He just uses wholesalers. It works for him because like I was saying earlier, he only pays when a deal gets closed. And so for him, wholesalers work really great, but most of the really big operators do their own in-house marketing in combination with handful of realtors, handful of wholesalers. So for our full-time investors, I recommend cold calling. Get you a VA. Zach Ginn breaks down training a VA and all of that. It's really cheap. And so for cold calling is actually our highest ROI marketing channel right now, but it is our least consistent. So month to month, we have the least amount of consistency, whereas direct mail is our most consistent but lowest ROI. ROI, return on investment. With cold calling, we spend $1 and we make $5. What I mean by $5 is whether it's a wholesale fee or equity gained. So cold calling, you train up a VA, do it yourself. It sucks doing it yourself, but you'll learn a lot and you'll get really good at it. But cold calling, it's consistent. I recommend using a batch dialer. Actually, batch dialer is what we use. And cold calling the government lists, plus water shutoffs, code violations, your tax delinquencies, tired landlords, all of that stuff. But cold calling will be your cheapest and highest return on your investment. PPC, I don't recommend getting the PPC until you have closed some deals using cold calling, direct mail, or PPL. SMA, same thing. I don't recommend you start using it until you've used cold calling, direct mail, or PPL. Same thing if SEO. SEO is expensive and takes time. I recommend doing it maybe after a year. You've been a full-time investor or wholesaler and you've been getting off-market deals on your own. PPC, that's pay-per-click. That's basically you have a website in Google that ranks, sellers fill out a form, and you get a lead. PPC has been really good to us. Month to month, it depends on the month, but it's a fantastic lead source because it's inbound, and most of the time when they're filling out the form online, they're pretty motivated, so we don't have to filter through a lot of unqualified, unmotivated leads. It's a lot like PPL, except it's a little bit cheaper, but it's more active because you got to manage and upkeep the website. So again, I don't recommend getting to PPC until after a good year of cold calling and direct mail. SMS, we're on and off of SMS. There are some auto texters, text blasters, but we haven't had the best luck with them. And what you'll find, it's a lot of filtering. And so it's not one of our core marketing channels. We've had seasons where SMS has been good to us, but it is a lot of work. And for our full-time investors out here, you're managing a portfolio. In your market, it might work better than in ours, but for us, we've never had anything insane come out of SMS. So it's depending on the return you get on your market for cold calling, direct mail, I wouldn't mess with SMS too much. Now, again, if you get the core channels nailed down, cold calling, direct mail, then go ahead, throw it in there. But for us, it's not been the best. Now, signs, like around town, we've gotten a few deals just because we have signage in front of some of the houses we own, and people see the number, they call, and it's sometimes a referral or it's them selling their house themselves. Signage, you got to put them out consistently, and it's pretty inconsistent, but it's great to add into once you're already buying and remodeling deals. Get you some signs, put them outside of your remodels, and you'll get a deal. TV and radio. We did radio, it sucked, it didn't get us any deals. In your market, it might be different. If you do radio, I recommend you just pushing them to your website instead of a phone number because people won't call a phone number. But we had no return on radio. TV, we haven't tried. It's just really expensive in our market, and we're a little skeptical on how well it will work. But I know Josh and Tiffany, if you go to their site, they have some referrals for TV. We haven't used it, so I can't speak on it. In summary, my full-time investors, start with mastering getting a team of cold callers, VAs, trickle in some direct mail, because then you have high ROI with consistency. And then of course PPL, because it's fantastic, it works for everybody. Get a few different PPL companies. And then after a good year of getting a return out of these channels, mastering those and making sure they're not taking too much of your time, add in PPC, SMA, SEO, SMS, start experimenting, but don't experiment until you master cold calling, direct mail, and PPL. And that's for my full-time investors. And then wholesalers, look, your job is to be good at this. All of these channels you need to master. You need to be better than the full-time investors. This is your skill, this is your craft, this is your trade you master. So all these channels, pick one to break through So like cold calling or direct mail or SMS, pick one, break through, figure out what it is in your market. That's your job to figure it out as a wholesaler in your market. Figure it out, break through, get a lot of cash from one channel, making assignment fees, and only add channels one at a time and master each one as you go. But your job is to feed these two people. I will go into more detail for each one of these channels in later videos, but in summary, this is my recommendation for whoever you are. The next thing that's really important is having a good CRM, customer relationship management. This is your system you're going to use to organize all your leads on off-market discounted properties and converting them into actual deals. So I'm going to talk about the few most important things that your CRM should have. I have a video where I break down how to set up a CRM using Podio, link right here, but these are the most important things that you need to make sure your CRM does. Your CRM is basically going to be where you stay organized with all the seller leads, wholesaler leads, realtor leads that you get coming your way or that you have. This will be your lead library. This is where all your leads are going to live forever until they tell you, do not ever speak to me again. A lead stays in our CRM, even when we get told that, we just mark it as dead, but a lead will live in your CRM forever. And the reason it'll stay in there forever is because majority of deals do not become deals until they're followed up with. Majority of our deals go under contract in the follow-up. I'm talking 6 months, 1 year, 2 years of following up with someone until it's under contract. Majority of our deals don't go under contract until at least the 12th point of contact. So that means you're gonna have a lot of follow-ups and you're gonna have a lot of follow-ups you need to keep track of. Your CRM will help you schedule and organize follow-ups. Podio, if you set it up like I show you in the video, every day, even if you booked the follow-up years ago, you'll see what are today's follow-ups. You'll click on the follow-up and you'll have a log of the conversations you've had, important notes and context before you speak to the person. We're pretty fancy for our CRM where we have smartphones set up where we can actually listen to previous phone calls, whereas you don't need to be that fancy with it. If you just take good call notes after you speak to someone while you're on the phone, the next time when you follow up with them, you'll have context and you'll further build the relationship. Your CRM is going to help you do that because every time you speak to a lead, you should say when you spoke to them, what you spoke about. This way, then when you follow up with them, it's not another cold call. You have context, you have a relationship going. That's why majority of our deals convert on the follow-ups because it's been enough time of nurturing the relationship until they are ready to actually sell. If you are not using your CRM to have leads live there forever, then you're not going to be able to follow up with them either at the right time. Like they said, like, hey, I'm working on this thing in my life. I'll be ready to sell after it's complete. They'll give you a timeline. If you don't have that scheduled in your follow-up, you're starting over every single time. And leads do not convert the first time you speak to them, period. So you need a place for them to live that you'll follow up. Logs. I already said it, keep all the notes and information in there because then when you speak to them next, you'll be building that relationship because you'll have context. Your fourth thing is, I call it the whiteboard. So it's basically in Podio, the CRM we use, it's helping you manage leads from kind of the top of funnel, narrow down until they're a deal. So for ours, it reads basically left to right when you're in the CRM. We start with all the inbound cold leads, not qualified leads, unqualified leads. And then the leads get qualified, okay? So there's a little bit less in here. And then there's leads that we actually submitted offers to, so they're a little less here. Then there's deals once they're going under contract, but they're not assigned and we're not sure if we're buying them or not, buying them yet. And then we have disposition, which is all the deals that we know for sure we're buying or are locked up with a buyer, so it's even less. And then from dispositions, we use what we call is the whiteboard, where we manage deals that are at the title company and getting closed on. This is how we're able to stay on top of knowing what we need to fund and what we need to check up on, making sure it gets closed. Every deal, once it goes under contract, we are watching, okay, it's under contract. Do we have our financing? Do we have the buyer? Okay, it's at the title company. It helps us manage making sure stuff actually gets closed because as you scale your portfolio or your wholesale operations, You will have multiple houses under contract that you need to make sure you fund or find a buyer for. If you don't have a system for managing them, stuff will fall through the cracks. So the best thing for us is just having it directly in our CRM, because then it's just left to right, reading from unqualified strangers who say they have a house to sell down to assets that turn up in our portfolio or wholesale deals. So whiteboard. And lastly, Podio has this, and you can get way more fancy with it, but bare bones KPIs. Your CRM is going to be a huge resource in understanding how well your team is performing, your marketing is performing, every marketing dollar is doing. And if you're operating out of your CRM, it is tracking everything you're doing. So you're able to generate reports and KPIs, key performance indicators. The KPIs we like to watch in our CRM are leads per day, offers per day, contracts per day or week, deals closed for the month. And then I even have a module in our CRM so I can track dollar in, dollar out. So if it's a wholesale deal, how much did we spend on marketing for this month? How many deals did it close us? You can also do things like cost per lead for each marketing channel. You can track that in your CRM because your CRM will see how many leads come from each marketing channel, and you can input the cost of every marketing channel so you can watch your cost per lead and your cost per deal, because again, your CRM is going to see how many deals you're doing and it's going to see the profit you make on each deal if it's a wholesale deal, or I like to factor in basically 1 year's rental income as the ROI for the deal I purchased. You could do it with equity, but in my head that works. Sometimes if it's an insane deal that we get a boatload of equity, I'll do a portion of that to kind of figure out, hey, okay, cold calling had a bad month, but it got us this one deal that had all this equity. So all right, it's good, it'll slide. That's how I do it. But this will help you understand what marketing channels work for your market and then how well your team is doing, because you're seeing how many offers they're making and how many are they converting, or just judging yourself. Like I made this many offers and only this many got under contract. So your KPIs are what will keep you accountable and are like your vitals to your business. And if you build out your CRM right, they'll be right in there. Really all I wanted to get across today is just help you guys figure out what marketing channels you should focus on learning depending on your situation, and then set you guys up with some direction on how to manage those leads from that marketing channel. So action steps for you, depending on if you're an investor, part-time investor, or wholesaler. Pick the marketing channel you want to master, set up your CRM, and no matter who you are, network with wholesalers and realtors. And then of course, understand how to price what makes a good deal so you know what actually is a discounted deal. If you have any questions, just comment below. If there's any other topics you want me to go into more detail, please comment and like and subscribe. Thank you.